Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, service chiefs brief President Buhari on the state of security across the country and particularly the Boko Haram menace. Another bomb attack in Maiduguri, Borno State, kills 30 people at the abattoir market. House of Representatives postpones consideration on petroleum industry bill as members fail to agree on some clauses. And FIFA President Sepp Blatter resigns amid corruption scandal barely a week after his re-election.
And on Business News tonight, 25th edition of the World Economic Forum Africa begins tomorrow, June the 3rd, with the theme, Then and Now, Reimagining the Future.
On sports news, Sepp Blatter steps down as president of World Soccer governing body FIFA after 17 years in charge.
We begin tonight at the Defense House in Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, where the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Muhammadu Buhari, appears to be walking the talk with regards to his vow to crush the Boko Haram insurgency. The President has received briefs from service chiefs on how far they've gone with the prosecution of the war against the insurgency in the northeast. The meeting is the first with service chiefs after his inauguration. Briefing State House correspondents after the meeting, which lasted for over 4 hours, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Usman Jibril, said it became necessary to brief the Commander-in-Chief so that he'll have first-hand information about the security situation in the country. Our State House correspondent, Chukwu Maunekusi, reports.
As the inaugural speech depicts, and as the President plans his first trip out of the country to neighboring countries, priority on his list remains security of lives and property. He arrived at the Defense House to start another day's work. Of all the people he met this day, perhaps prominence is given to the service chiefs who arrived at the Defense Office at about 12 noon. The service chiefs include the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief Marshal Alex Bade, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Kenneth Minima, among others, including the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase. For over 4 hours, they brainstormed while journalists waited for the outcome. Vice Admiral Usman Jibril, the Chief of Naval Staff, spoke to journalists after the meeting and what formed the crux of the meeting.
This is the first time that we are formally meeting him to give a general security briefing of the country. And that went very well. I think we'll be able to provide insight into the security situation of Nigeria.
Specifically on Boko Haram and how soon the Commander-in-Chief's directive that the military command should be relocated to Borno State, the theater of war.
Boko Haram issue is such that, like I told you, we have just given the general briefing with respect to the general security situation. Specifically on Boko Haram, I think the level of success is being recorded. We want to maintain the tempo and sustain it until they are rooted out of the country. The command center, we are the one to go back and work on it and then get back to Mr. President.
How long is that going to take?
No, it shouldn't take too long.
The service chief said the directive to move the command headquarters to Borno State, the theater of war, is a presidential directive that must be carried out real soon. And so they will soon meet to work out the modalities for the final movement to that theater of war to give a final onslaught to the Boko Haram insurgency. Chukwuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
Now, just about the time the President and the service chiefs were strategizing on how to defeat terror, the terrorists themselves were wreaking havoc in Borno State, Nigeria's northeast. Over 30 people have died after a bomb blast hit the Maiduguri abattoir at the cattle market in Borno State. This incident took place around 1:25 p.m. when the market and abattoir were crowded with traders and buyers. The bomb is reported to have been concealed under a butcher's table. A medical official says that 30 charred bodies have been evacuated to the teaching hospital in Maiduguri, and several other people were brought in with severe injuries. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the latest explosion, which follows 2 bomb attacks over the weekend that killed at least 30 people and bore the hallmarks of the Boko Haram sect. In the meantime, the federal government has applied to conduct the trial of 6 persons charged with the Nyanya Motor Park bombing in Abuja with the new Administration of Justice Act. At the resumed hearing, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Mohammed Diri, requested the court to try the accused persons under the new Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. He explained that sections 492 and 493 of the Act had repealed the Criminal Procedure Act under which the accused were initially charged. However, Defense Counsel Mr. Ahmed Raji says that the new law cannot take retroactive effect. Justice Ahmed Mohammed adjourned till June the 3rd for continuation of trial.
The general principle of law is that a criminal law does not have a retroactive effect. So it is a prospective legislation. I mean, it's talking about now and future. As to what has taken place in the past, no, it will not affect it. But I'm still studying the law, and then we have to look at the provisions vis-a-vis what the Constitution says. If any of the provisions of the new law tries to overreach or be in violation of the Constitution, then of course we apply the court to strike down such sections in the new law. So that I cannot give you an answer now because I need to do a critical study of the new provisions. But like any other law, they are subsidiary legislation. The Constitution remains the supreme law of the land.
And staying with the issue of the insurgency and what to do about it, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Right Reverend Matthew Kuka, who has been appointed by the Vatican to represent the African continent on the advisory board of the King Abdullahi Ibn Abdulaziz International Center for Interreligious and Intercultural Dialogue in Vienna, has also been speaking about the issue of the insurgency. He says the president, who is a former general in the military, is in a good position to determine what the issues are.
Boko Haram is a symptom. It's not a disease. It's a symptom of most of what has been wrong with us. Most of what has been wrong with the way Islam has been handled in northern Nigeria, largely by the political elite. And I've often argued that, we may close the door of Boko Haram tomorrow, but beyond the silence of guns, there are a lot of other issues that need to be resolved. These issues have to do with whether northern Islam can develop the reflex, for appreciating the nature of how plural societies coexist, how rights of ordinary people to exercise their freedoms, freedom to marry, freedom to practice your faith. And these are some of the underlying factors, that we are still having to deal with.
In the quest to contain the Boko Haram menace and to deal with it once and for all, the president has seen fit that the command center be moved to Maiduguri. Do you think it's a good idea for the command center, the military command center, to be moved to Maiduguri?
President Buhari is a general of the Nigerian army. I'm far from competent to comment. And I think this is beyond sentiments. What needs to be done is for us to at least trust the capacity and the ability of the president to take those crucial decisions. Definitely, this is a welcome decision. I've spoken to my other colleagues, the Bishop of Yola, the Bishop of Maiduguri, who tells me that the people of Maiduguri are quite excited by those prospects. And I think that if militarily speaking, this is one way of dealing with the issue. I think all we can do as ordinary citizens is to give government the support that it requires.
Our correspondent there, Olumide Macaulay, speaking with the Catholic Bishop of the Sokoto Diocese. And staying with the worrisome issue of the insurgency, a group of individuals who played an active role in trying to resolve the violence by Niger Delta militants in Nigeria's south-south region have been giving tips to the federal government on how to overcome the problem. They are asking the president to take a cue from the disarmament and demobilization program employed in the region to deal with the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. A former managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Mr. Timi Alaibe, identified provision of critical infrastructure and an appraisal of all existing projects in the region as some of the issues the president should address first. Our correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
Barely 1 week after the inauguration of the president, there's been various suggestions and proposals on how to put the country on the right track. At this meeting in Abuja by stakeholders in the Niger Delta, several areas of challenge in the Niger Delta came up, and that of the Northeast. They said the president must strategize a way out to bring peace to Nigerians.
What we're trying to propose is that there was a disarmament, demobilization, rehabilitation and reintegration program, what they call DDRR program, when the Niger Delta agitators were disarmed. If that doesn't happen, you cannot bring or implement sustainable development programs or rebuild the Northeast.
Former Niger Delta Development Commission boss said a whopping 750 billion naira is still being owed to the commission and could be used to execute crucial projects in the region. For other stakeholders, the government's behavior to the deplorable state of the Niger Delta is of grave concern.
We're still wasting money. Do you know how much we are wasting every hour? We are burning gas when people are dying to buy gas so that they can heat their homes, so that they can cook their food. We need a comprehensive strategy that will encompass the agricultural needs of the area, the health needs of the area, and then properly look at these natural resources and maximize it, because we are depleting it right now.
We must see the road running in addressing the main areas, the main problem of Niger Delta, which is the development of the human person and the environment.
Another critical recommendation here for the president is the preponderance of pipeline vandalism. A radical restructure of the surveillance system is desperately required to bring sanity back to the nation's oil industry. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose locked in a battle of wits with APC lawmakers over purported moves to impeach him. That's in a moment. Do join us again.